In this video we will take a look at the Proxmox backup client, which we can install on a Linux system like Ubuntu or Debian in order to create backups of these systems. So using this backup client we can also create backups of systems that aren't running under Proxmox VE and store them on our Proxmox backup server. And in this video I will show you how to install this backup client and also how to create the first backup and perform a restore. But yeah, let's just have a look at that in practice. We can find a tutorial for installing the backup client within the official documentation of Proxmox backup server. We just need to scroll down a bit, and here is a dedicated section for the client installation. So as we can see, we can install the Proxmox backup client via the apt package manager. But before we are able to do that, we need to set up the corresponding repository. So here we can see the repositories that are tested using these Debian systems. The last one is also tested with Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. So for example, Ubuntu 22.04 or 24.04 aren't tested officially. If you want to install the backup client on one of these systems, I would recommend to check out the Proxmox forum. At least at the time I'm recording this video, it is possible, but requires to install some packages manually on the Ubuntu system. In this video I will use Debian 12 Bookworm, so I can use this repository, but before adding it to my system, I have to set up the Proxmox release key as mentioned here. And I can do that by executing this single wget command. As you can see here, this is for Debian Bookworm. So when using another version of Debian, for example Bullseye, you need to change that. But in my case, I can copy this wget command to my clipboard and switch to my Debian system. So as you can see here, I'm now connected to my Debian test system via SSH. And I will now execute the wget command from the official documentation. Yeah, and accordingly, the key was downloaded and saved. So I can continue with the installation guide. As shown here, I will create a new file within the etc apt sources list directory, and I will add the corresponding package repository for Debian 12 to this file. So for example, I can use a command line based text editor like Nano to create this file. Then I just need to paste the package repository, quit Nano and save of course. And after that I can update my package lists via apt update. And great, that was successful, no error message, and the Proxmox package list was also downloaded. So I can install the Proxmox backup client package according to the documentation using apt install, and after a short wait the backup client was installed fully automatically, and therefore it should now be available here on my Debian system. That looks good, the Proxmox backup client command is available, and I can use the version option to display the version that I'm currently using. And I can also use Proxmox backup client help to display all available options. As you can see, there are many subcommands like restore or snapshot and also backup, which we will use to create our first backup just in a moment. Furthermore, there's also a dedicated section about using the backup client within the Proxmox backup server documentation, which really contains all the details about using it. Yeah, and now I will create the first backup, a file-based backup. So of course I'm using the Proxmox backup client for that, with the subcommand backup, followed by root.pxr, and the path to the directory that I want to backup. And last but not least, of course I also need to specify my Proxmox backup server, using the option -- repository. Here I'm using the DNS name, but you can also use the IP address, and we also need to provide the data store. So in my case, CFS RAID 1. Yeah, so I can just execute this command, I need to provide the root password. And in my case, the whole backup process was performed very quickly. Cause as you can see here, the test directory only contains one text file. But when using that for real backups, the information that is displayed might be really helpful, like the duration of the backup, backup speed, the size and the compressed size, and so on and so forth. So I will switch to the web interface of my Proxmox backup server and the right data store. And here within the content section, we can see that the new backup is available. And it has this host prefix, since this system isn't a container or VM that is running under Proxmox VE. So for our Proxmox backup server, it's just an independent Linux system. So I can expand the backup. Currently there is only one. If there are more backups, we will also have a list of backups here. But if I expand it once again, we can see the files that the backup consists of. So we could download these individual files, but we can also click on the browse icon here. And as you can see, now we can also perform a file level restore. So we can just click on a file and download it, or we can also click on a directory and, for example, download that as a .zip file. So in short, we can do a file level restore directly here from the Proxmox backup server web interface. So to sum up, we can install our Proxmox backup client using these apt repositories, which are tested on Debian systems, but you might also find tips within the Proxmox community to install that on Ubuntu based systems. And once the backup client is installed, we can create a new backup just by executing a single command. Just by providing the directory that we want to backup and our Proxmox backup server and the corresponding data store. So of course, in a real world scenario or a corporate environment, you might want to run that fully automated on a regular basis. And as we have seen, then we can just use the Proxmox backup server web interface to perform a file level restore. So that's basically it for the basics. And I'm looking forward to showing you further details in the next video.